There is something inside you, a whisper that has never stopped calling your name. It doesn't come from logic, nor from imagination. It's the knowing that the reality you're living is not all there is. In moments of stillness, in dreams, or when time seems to dissolve, you can feel something greater pulling at your awareness. That something is the quantum field, a field of infinite energy, where every version of you already exists. The healthy, abundant, joyful you. The version living in full alignment with your purpose. Even the version you've never dared to believe is possible. Believe it or not, they all exist right now. Not in the future, but in the deep, energetic dimension you can access through vibration. Most people misunderstand what quantum jumping really means. They think it's a mental trick, a positive visualization technique, or some spiritual hack. But the truth is far more profound. You don't have to jump somewhere else. You simply have to tune yourself to the version you want to become. By shifting your emotional state, your biological responses, and your energetic signature, you're not going to a new timeline. You're merging with it. And when that shift begins from within, the first doorway opens. The version of you that is healed, whole, radiant, and abundant. It's not a fantasy or a far-off dream. It already exists, not in some distant future, not after you've worked hard enough or proved yourself. It's here. It's now. Vibrating in the field, waiting for you to align. This is what the sacred art of quantum jumping truly reveals. You are not moving forward to become something new. You are returning to what has always been available, but requires alignment to be accessed. Most people approach transformation through their minds. They set goals, repeat affirmations, and try to visualize success. But mental effort alone cannot shift energy. Why? Because your state of being, your emotional, biological, and energetic resonance is what the quantum field responds to. The mystics knew this. So do modern pioneers like Dr. Joe Dispenza and Dr. Bruce Lipton. Joe teaches that you are not separate from the life you desire. You are entangled with it. In quantum mechanics, entanglement means that two particles, or realities, can be interconnected no matter how far apart they seem. In the same way, the version of you who has already stepped into purpose, health, joy, and overflow is already tethered to your current self through the quantum field. You don't have to chase it. You have to tune into it. And Bruce Lipton expands on this with something radical. You are not limited by your genes. Your DNA is not your destiny. Your biology responds to the environment you create inside yourself. Every thought, every belief, every emotion releases chemical signals that shape your body and mold your future. This means you are the architect of your inner environment. You are the coder of your energy. You are the one who either locks yourself into an old timeline or allows the new one to unfold. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are entangled with a higher version of yourself. And when your frequency matches that version, the field has no choice but to collapse into that reality. This is not a metaphor. It's biology. It's physics. It's truth. And the field is always listening. You don't jump into a new timeline by thinking harder. You shift into it by becoming it. That's the core message of this phase. Transformation doesn't happen in the mind alone. It's the body, the breath, the emotional signature that activates the shift. Quantum jumping isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about remembering who you were before fear rewrote your truth. When you imagine the version of yourself who is already living the life you desire, how do they feel in their body? What energy radiates from them? What do they choose effortlessly? The key is embodiment. You must begin to feel now what that version of you lives every day. Feel it not as a fantasy, but as a frequency. Don't stop at visualizing. Don't just hope. Sink into the sensation. Let your body speak the language of that timeline. Open heart, calm breath, quiet confidence. This is how the quantum responds, not to want, but to being. The version of you you're calling in is not waiting for your wishes. It's waiting for your alignment. The portal isn't out there. It's within your state. And every time you embody the truth of who you really are, you step through. Quantum physics has never been about philosophy. It's about precision. And it's showing us something extraordinary. Every possibility you could ever experience already exists in the quantum field. Every version of you, the joyful you, the fearful you, the thriving you, the version trapped in cycles, they're all vibrating right now as a probability waves. These timelines don't need to be created. They already are. So why don't we live them? Because of the observer effect. This principle teaches that whatever you observe with emotional intensity collapses from infinite possibility into physical form. Your attention, combined with your emotional state, becomes the instrument that turns vibration into reality. Let's put it simply. If you wake up rehearsing fear, lack, or doubt, you unconsciously collapse those timelines again and again. You're not being punished. You're just confirming the frequency you've agreed to hold. Joe Dispenza explains it clearly. The field doesn't respond to your goals, your intentions, or your wish lists. It responds to your energetic broadcast, the signature of who you're being right now. And here's where Bruce Lipton's work deepens the insight. Your biology isn't fixed. Your DNA doesn't dictate your future. What dictates it is the chemical environment created by your thoughts and feelings. Your cells are always listening. They're not passive observers of your mindset. They're participants. When you feel stress, they contract. When you feel love, they open. When you believe in lack, they reflect it. When you breathe into peace, they regenerate. Now imagine this. Two people wake up in the morning. One immediately checks their phone, replays yesterday's worries, rushes into survival mode. Their nervous system tightens. Stress hormones surge. That day collapses into the same old loop. The other person begins with a breath. They place a hand over their heart. They whisper, "Thank you." They feel possibility, even if there's no visible reason. They hold the vibration of trust, openness, curiosity. Their biochemistry shifts. Their electromagnetic field changes. The quantum listens, and a new timeline begins to take form. Same person, different state, different timeline. What most people miss is this. It's not about effort, it's about coherence. When your mind, emotions, and body all vibrate in harmony, the quantum field can't help but respond. There's no contradiction, no fragmentation. You become a coherent signal, a living invitation to the reality that's been waiting. So if you've been trying hard and still collapsing into old patterns, the answer isn't to try harder. It's to tune deeper. The field responds not to your effort, but to your essence. This is the science. This is the invitation. Quantum jumping is not a single decision. It's a daily discipline. It's not a moment of hope. It's a rhythm of embodiment. And to live in a new timeline, you have to reprogram the one you've been rehearsing for years. Most people don't realize how addicted they are to their past. Not consciously, but chemically. Your body remembers how it feels to worry. It knows the shape of self-doubt. It's used to the rhythm of disappointment, and it craves the familiarity of suffering. This is why affirmations often don't work. You're saying one thing with your mouth, but your cells are still vibrating the opposite. You say, "I trust," but your body is preparing for failure. You declare, "I am worthy," but your nervous system is bracing for rejection. To shift timelines, you must reprogram not just your mind, but your entire being. Here's how. Step 1. Enter the state beyond your current self. Through breathwork, meditation, or stillness, leave behind your name, your history, your body, your job, your past. Joe Dispenza calls this becoming no one, nowhere, in no time. You enter the quantum not as a persona, but as pure awareness, a blank signal ready to tune into something new. Step 2. Feel before you see. Most people wait for results before they allow elevated emotions, but the quantum responds to feeling first, not evidence. So instead of waiting for joy, feel joy now. Instead of waiting for abundance, breathe in the frequency of overflow. Instead of waiting for love, radiate love without condition. This emotional frequency is the new code. Step 3. Embody it daily. One meditation won't change your life. One journal session won't collapse a timeline. You must become aware of when the old identity creeps back in. Catch the thought, catch the emotion, interrupt the program, and then, in that moment, choose again. Breathe yourself back. Walk from the new vibration. Speak from the new self. Take aligned action, even if your reality hasn't shifted yet, because in truth, it already has. Step 4. Surrender the timeline. This might be the hardest part. The mind wants to control how and when change arrives, but the quantum doesn't respond to impatience. It doesn't follow your calendar. It follows your coherence. Your job is not to force reality to shift. Your job is to hold the frequency long enough for reality to match it. What it looks like in practice. You wake up. And before you open your phone, you breathe. You sit. You choose the version of you want to become. You tune to that feeling. You walk from that energy. When fear returns, you don't panic. You pause. You remember. You close your eyes and breathe again. That one breath is a quantum act. That remembering is a jump. Slowly, the external begins to follow. The people shift. The conversations change. The way money flows, the way ideas land, the way your body speaks, everything recalibrates. Not because you tried to change the world, but because you changed your frequency within it. You don't fight the old timeline, you simply stop feeding it. And as you do, it fades. This is the reprogramming. This is the path to sustainability. Not a leap once, but a leap again and again, until the new way becomes your default. And here's what's most powerful. The version of you you're aligning with, they already remember this. They already walk this way. So when you align, you don't just collapse a timeline. You merge with the memory of who you truly are. You don't become them. You remember that you are them. And when you do, the quantum responds. The leap is not the end, it's the beginning. Quantum jumping isn't a peak moment you reach once and celebrate forever. It's a continuous act of remembering who you truly are, over and over, until that truth becomes the foundation of your being. What stops most people from sustaining the shift isn't failure, it's familiarity. The old timeline feels safe because it's known. Doubt, fear, limitation, they've been practiced so long, they feel like home. But just because something is familiar doesn't mean it's true. And just because something is unknown doesn't mean it's unsafe. Every day you stand at the edge of two timelines. The old one calls with its comfort. The new one calls with its freedom. Your task is to choose, again and again, where you will feed your energy. This isn't about perfection. You will slip. You will forget. That's human. The power is in returning. Returning to breath. Returning to presence. Returning to the signal of who you really are. Because here's the truth. The quantum doesn't test you. It mirrors you. The field doesn't withhold results. It reflects resonance. So the question isn't whether the field is responding. The question is whether you're aligned long enough for it to reflect what you've become. This is where ritual matters. Not as superstition, but as structure. Rituals anchor identity. They create micro portals in your day where you pause, reset, and reclaim your timeline. A candle lit with intention. A breath taken with awareness. A phrase spoken with power. A moment of stillness. These acts may seem small, but in the quantum, they are seismic. When you live with that kind of intentional rhythm, your life becomes a living prayer. Your mornings no longer begin in reaction. They begin in remembrance. Your days aren't controlled by chaos. They're guided by coherence. Your nights aren't weighed down by loops of fear. They're quiet rehearsals of your higher timeline. Even when life challenges you, and it will, you stop seeing problems as proof you've failed. You begin to see them as invitations to stay aligned. This shift is not about controlling your environment. It's about mastering your signal. And when your signal is consistent, the quantum cannot help but respond. This is not just about manifestation. This is about becoming. You're not here to manipulate outcomes. You're here to radiate identity. You're not here to chase results. You're here to sustain resonance. And that version of you, the one you saw in your vision, the one you felt in your breath, the one that lives the life you thought was far away, is not distant. That version is already encoded within you. Quantum jumping isn't about reaching, it's about unveiling. It's about peeling away what was never you, the fear, the programming, the doubt, and standing bare in the truth you've always known deep down. I am aligned. I am leaping. I am becoming. From this place, every breath is sacred. Every decision is creation. Every word is a bridge between worlds. There will still be days where the old timeline tempts you. When scarcity creeps in. When insecurity speaks loud. When disappointment knocks. In those moments, you are not failing. You are crossing. You are meeting the threshold between timelines, and you're being invited to choose. Will you collapse into the familiar? Or will you stay expanded into what you now know? Remember, what you rehearse becomes your reality. What you embody becomes your timeline. If you keep returning, breath by breath, moment by moment, to the signal of the self you are becoming, you will not just visit the higher timeline. You will live there. You will build a home there. You'll no longer be someone trying to shift. You'll be someone who already has. And the quantum will no longer feel like a concept. It will feel like your companion. Because you will no longer be waiting for the shift. You will be the shift. Let your life speak the frequency you now hold. Let your eyes reflect the clarity you've earned. Let your heart walk unguarded into the unknown, not because it's easy, but because it's true. This is coherence. This is embodiment. This is the leap, sustained. And when others ask how you did it, don't give them a formula. Give them a presence. Let them feel it in your field. Let them remember through you what is also inside them. Because you are not here to observe the magic. You are here to be it. And when you become it, the field responds every time.